It was some time ago now that the dragonborn happened upon a beacon by the Daedric Prince Meridia. He followed it to its source.
Look at my temple lying in ruins. So much for the constancy of mortals, their crafts and their hearts.
The voice of Meridia.
If they love me not, how can my love reach them?
Sorry, I assumed she'd stop talking. The voice of Meridia filled his ears, and he found himself before her statue. He stepped forth and replaced the bacon. He found himself many, many feet in the air.
It is time for my splendor to return to Skyrim. But the token of my truth lies buried in the ruins of my once great temple, now tainted by a profane darkness skittering within. The necromancer Malkaran defiles my shrine with vile corruptions, trapping lost souls left in the wake of this war to do his bidding. Worse still, he uses the power stored within my own token to fuel his foul deeds. I have brought you here, mortal, to be my champion. You will enter my temple, retrieve my artifact, and destroy the defiler.
Tell me more about this artifact, said Pix and Pooks, really not bothered about the fact that he was floating hundreds of feet above his death.
Mortals call it Dawnbreaker, for it was forged in a holy light that breaks upon my foes, burning away corruption and false life. You will enter my shrine, destroy Malkaran, and retrieve this mighty blade.
It doesn't really sound like I have a choice in the matter.
But a single candle can banish the darkness of the entire void. If not you, then someone else. My beacon is sure to attract a worthy soul. But if you are wise, you will heed my bidding. Go now. The artifact must be reclaimed, and Malkaran destroyed. Malkaran has forced the doors shut, but this is my temple, and it responds to my decree. I will send down a ray of light. Guide this light through my temple, and its doors will open.
Meridia shined brightly as Pix and Pooks fell to the earth. He squinted his eyes. The brightness was excruciating. But now Meridia's light was shining. He must find a way to guide it. Must find a way to guide it. He entered the Temple of Kilreath, Meridia's domain. He waited for the loading screen to pass, and then he got his sneak on, as he always did. Stepping not too far in, he found several, well, two, horribly desecrated corpses. He looted them of their earthly possessions, as was the respectful thing to do, and then he snuck further down, trying to ignore the unnaturally dark mist which pervaded the floor. Another desecrated corpse. Rather wealthy were these corpses. This is good. A dragonborn was always in need of wealth. saw a gate locked shut. He searched around for some kind of device which would allow the door to open, but no such luck. There was, however, a locked wooden door. He was a proficient lockpicker, and he had more than enough lockpicks to make up for any mistakes he might have made. The door opened, and the lever to the gate was inside. He tossed aside the ancient sword and delved into his bounty. It was somewhat meagre, but a bounty is a bounty nonetheless. So he continued to creep into the general area. He saw Meridia's light. He stepped into a large cavern, which always made him feel uneasy. He could be attacked from any direction here, any at all. He activated the pedestal to guide Meridia's light. It still had a ways to travel. The large cavern seemed empty, save for a few more desecrated corpses. He continued his prowling. The music unnerved him slightly. Yes, he could hear it somehow. He was fictionally aware. Before him he saw two wraith-like creatures, and he prepared his attack. The corrupted shades, thankfully, were quite weak. He summoned Priscilla to him. Shades went down easily. He launched volley after volley of fire. Picks and Pooks had come a long way from the once somewhat stealthy fighter. Now, he was but a force of utter ridiculousness. These shades, being ghosts as they were, did not have much by way of fat loot, but he crept on nonetheless. This was a deed for the god Meridia, not his own gain. He found a door that could not be picked, and so he made his way to the next pedestal. Meridia's light continued its journey, and a door opened. Grabbing any soul gems and bits of loot he could find, he pressed onwards. He would get to the task at hand eventually, but he was bound by his own law to take anything and everything that he could. He seemed to step into a dead end, as though there was little point to this room, but surely there must have been something. Whatever it was not obvious, and Meridia's light pained him. So he leapt to a sidewalk, but it seemed to lead nowhere in particular. This door must have been significant in some way. It did, after all, open. Nothing could be done about Meridia's light. Nothing whatsoever, and so, somewhat dejectedly, he headed back out. He realised then that the locked door from earlier had also opened. And he launched his attack upon the shades, once more summoning Priscilla to him. His barrage did not cease, and this time he thought to trap their souls. And that one too. His barrage was unceasing, and the shades collapsed. So he continued, until he was somewhere slightly further than he had been moments ago. Please forgive my poor reading of this text. It is old and faded, like your mama's face. And so, he came to another door. This room was absolutely steeped in the black mist. There was a tempting chest before him. He pilfered it without a second thought, only considering afterwards that it may have been rigged with a trap. Fortunately, it was not. He entered another large open cavern, and felt he heard a shade, and indeed he had done such a thing. Fortunately, no creature on this earth was a match for the dragonborn's mighty fireballs at that time. Their impact was known to stagger even dragons. He was a master of magicka. The shades could do nothing to him. Meridia had chosen her champion well. Down the next shade went. Dragonborn searched for the ghostly remains of the one he had killed previously, but it seemed to be wholly gone. Another desecrated corpse, another bundle of golden coins, thought Pix and Pooks. He felt that that staircase was the right way to go, and so he chose this one first, not wanting to miss anything. He remuffled himself, as it had been a while. He found an enchanting table. Such a bizarre place for one. And another gate that he could not bypass. However, a door next to the gate, strongly locked, would surely hold the answer. It would take a lot of lockpicks to crack this one, but Pix and Pooks was patient. And before long, the door yielded to him, and the gate opened. More minor loot, most of it not even worth taking. But all loot is good loot. If that phrase seems in any way contradictory with what came before it, bear in mind that Pix and Pooks was no warrior. He was a sorcerer. He could not carry unending amounts of luggage like others could. It was his one weakness. His one never-ending weakness, and the door was locked, but Meridia's next pedestal was before him. He knew what he must do, and so he did it. He did it like you would not believe. Another corpse. Another door to the Kilcreath balcony. He thought back to Sanguine, the Daedric Prince he had worked for before, and found himself outdoors of all places. He followed Meridia's light, running with a fistful of flames like